Our next stop is the St. Louis Art Museum, where there's always something to look at, and for a while, something to look through. A visit to the St. Louis Art Museum often means strolling through a gallery, looking at the paintings on the wall, getting up close, standing back, moving on. But in one gallery, things are completely different. In a special exhibit, artist Sarah Oppenheimer has built a structure of walls and passages and holes, especially holes, that change the whole gallery experience, offering completely new views of other artwork and sometimes other visitors. Like a lot of what's called installation art, it is better experienced than explained. But since we like the creative process angle of these kinds of stories, we first came when Currents 102 was a work in progress, and the artist was in her paint-stained coveralls.
So there's basically a set of views that happen from one end of the floor to the other end, which become sort of erased by our experience of looking at each object as a separate thing.
She designed all of this for this particular space, with views to works of art in adjacent galleries, and then works were chosen from the Art Museum's collection to go on this gallery's walls. Like traditional artists, Oppenheimer is in fact framing things for us. It's just that she discovered along the way that a flat canvas was just too limiting.
I at one point was a painter, and I never thought about space, but I thought a lot about flatness and the illusion of space in flatness, and so it seemed like a way out of the problem of pictures, actually.
One way of turning a two-dimensional object into a three-dimensional object is to simply fold it. At her art museum lecture, Oppenheimer talked about folding, not so much folding paper, but drywall and plywood.
So that you would take a 4x8 sheet of plywood, you could insert a 90-degree fold at 45 degrees across the material, and you would actually have a completely different structural material.
She once did a study of how Japanese commuters fold their newspapers. Really. This may not be the sort of thing for the casual museum goer, but Oppenheimer's work gets plenty of attention inside the art world and from students. She teaches art at Yale and came to St. Louis as a Freund Fellow. The exhibit is part of that fellowship, as was teaching graduate art seminars at Washington University. Her students found her intense and intelligent, and they were really looking forward to what she would do at the St. Louis Art Museum.
This is really important for this space. I feel like St. Louis doesn't get enough of this kind of energy.
The world of art is becoming incredibly complex to understand, but I mean, ultimately it comes down to experiencing it and enjoying what you see and the time that you have there.
It doesn't work if no one's involved. It's a stationary piece of art, and you have to have people looking at it. You have to have people experiencing it. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Whatever you think about it, you can't miss it. This art that is truly off the wall.